Hello, and welcome to another edition of Fresh Natural Live. We are here on a Monday evening. I hope you've had a great Monday, and I hope your weekend was wonderful and enjoyable. As usual, we have a great show tonight. I've done a number of talks related to the immune system, natural immunity versus vaccinated immunity, and that type of thing. And I received a number of great questions in the commentary, either during the shows and also after the show. I'm going to review a few of those questions, but the whole concept of the immune system, and we've done talks on the immune system before, and in this channel, Fresh Natural Live, our real focus is on, things you can do to improve your overall health. And although, lately we've been talking a lot about coronavirus and different aspects of it, we've done that large because certainly in my practice and some of my colleagues' practice, they're getting a lot of questions about this. There's a lot of anxiety about it. There's a lot of information in the news, and so on and so forth. And so we thought it'd be really a disservice to really avoid the topic. But what I want to emphasize today, even though we're talking about boosting your immune system in the setting of chronic illness, the immune system does not exist in isolation. And we're going to talk about the immune system, but I want to get context from my colleagues in terms of their perspective on not just boosting the immune system, but boosting your overall health system and the health in your body. So we're going to do this in two parts. First part, we're going to talk about how the immune system works and different aspects of biochemistry of nutrition and how it can help the immune system, how it can overall help your health. Then we'll take a break. I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to have an open discussion with my colleagues. So as we think through this, I want you to think of all the questions you have and think through all of those things, because in part two, we're going to try to address those questions both directly and also indirectly in a broad scope in terms of what you need to do to improve your health. Because the things we're going to talk about today are not just important for the sake of avoiding an infection with virus A, B, or C. These things are important for your overall health and well-being and optimal quality of life. And that's really what it's optimally about. And it's not whether the latest flavor of, this flavor of pandemic or that flavor of pandemic or this flavor of illness or that flavor of illness. Is really about optimizing your body's capability to heal itself, your body's capability to maintain itself, your body's capability to do the types of things to, nourish, develop, and grow if that applies to you in terms of if you're young enough, but also your body's ability to give you the quality of function mentally, physically, spiritually, etc., so that your life, the quality of life is optimized. So we're going to be talking about boosting the immune system, but many of the things we're going to say are going to apply to broader aspects of health. I want to really emphasize that, because oftentimes we get, too focused on, disease A, B, or C, or infection A, B, or C. And I know a lot of people are anxious about COVID, and I don't watch the news, but I'm sure they're talking about Delta, and there may be some other, Lambda, maybe whoever else may be, the flavor of the day. But this is important for you in terms of your overall health, whether you're fighting cancer, diabetes, or heart disease, or fighting COVID or preventing COVID, or whatever the case is. And so we're going to get into this. So sit back, relax, and get ready for another episode of Fresh, Natural, and Live. Okay, we are back. We're back. I'm not going to delay too much. I want to first invite my esteemed colleagues and friends aboard, Dr. Pam Atkins. How are you doing, Dr. Atkins?
Good evening. I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Good evening.
Good to be
All right.
here.
And Dr. Floyd Atkins. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Just fine, just fine. So, you know, as I said in the outset, we want to talk about this whole concept of boosting your immune system in the setting of a chronic illness. And what I want to do is kind of throw a few PowerPoint slides up. I don't have very many tonight. I'm not gonna kill everybody by PowerPoint tonight. So no death by PowerPoint today. Maybe I'll inflict a few wounds. How about that? Is that okay? A few PowerPoint wounds, but I like to throw a few slides up. Some people learn visually and some people learn auditorily. So, you can hear us. If you may be listening to this and you're driving, you're not looking, that's fine. And there's a recording, but some people, the images and the words, you can take screenshots. And that's really why I do that. It also helps keep me on track. And to some extent helps keep me from just kind of rambling on and on and on, whatnot. But what I want to do is kind of throw some things out there. And some of these slides are slides I've had before and things we've talked about before. And even as I go through, Pam and Floyd, feel free to, interject and give me your comments, because I think, I really want, there seems to be a lot of anxiety about this. And I, sometimes I feel like, we're kind of, lonely voices in the wilderness. And so we probably need to speak more loudly and more repetitively and so on and so forth. So I want us to get this message across. And what I want to do, what I hope for us to do, and I think that's the concept of the show, is one, to inform and make you more knowledgeable, and two, by doing so, to empower you, because people feel helpless, and you should not feel helpless, in my opinion, in any situation, and certainly not in this situation. So hope we can do that. So before I go, I'm going to give a few. Joseph Issa, how are you doing? Catherine Welch, hello. Beth Kelly, hi. Jonah Hargreaves, Gwendolyn Darrell, Dellum, hello, how are you doing? Dana Zurcher, and from Arizona, Barbara Pearls, and Jonah Hargreaves again. She got let's see, there's a question. Yolanda Yvonne Williams, how are you? One of our Felicia Solomon, Gwendolyn Darrell, Diane Little, and more. So we will, greet you guys as we go. So without further ado, let's just get into this topic here. So, boosting your immune system in the setting of chronic illness. What I want to do is, and the reason I said in setting of chronic illness, because we know that, and to not avoid the topic of the day, people who succumb to COVID or older and people with quote unquote comorbidities, diabetes, obesity, vitamin D deficiency, and all the things that go wrong with that collectively. But I want to use, when I say chronic illness here, I say chronic illness in the practical sense or literal sense, as we think of it, somebody with a defined diagnosis. But I think my colleagues will agree with me that there are many people who have quote unquote chronic illness due to an underlying process that may not manifest as an overt disease. So for instance, you hear patient X is young and healthy. And they did or didn't have the vaccine. They got COVID. They got sick. Went to the hospital. They died, or whatever the case may be. It's young and healthy people have it. The word "healthy" is a relative term. So, for instance, if I'm a young healthy person, let's say I'm 25 years old, and I go to a party. And they're serving fried chicken and lots of junk food and cake, and I eat that, and I drink a lot of alcohol and smoke a couple of hoofers. And so, I'm a young, healthy person, but I just loaded my body with a lot of oxidative stress. I put a lot of toxins in my system. So I've pretty much gaslighted my biological system. So if somebody sprays a little COVID in the air, while I'm loaded with all of this toxic stuff, I may be on the surface young and healthy, quote unquote, but I've just loaded my system with a lot of things that creates oxidative stress, et cetera, that then you throw a little COVID in, it tips the balance over, then I can get very sick and die. Then the news media be like, I'm young and healthy, but that may not be the case. And I gave a little example to set the stage for the discussion, because I think it's very important. I think And I want us to understand that from a conceptual standpoint. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to go through this not too fast, but fairly briskly or time efficiently as I can. But basically, how does the immune system work? I mean, basically, we know that there are two basic components of the immune system. You have the innate immune system, and these are the physical barriers. These things we take for granted. Your skin, your mucous membranes, your gastrointestinal tract, eyelashes, all these things. And we think these things are there just to look pretty, but no, these are protective barriers from the outside world. In fact, people who get, burn victims who, have their skin destroyed, many of them die from infection because a major component of the immune system is destroyed. So other defense mechanisms, we make mucus and secretions. And so when you catch a cold or something, you're coughing and, snot's running out of your nose, that's your body's reacting to something foreign, and it's, defending against that. We have inflammatory responses, and there are other biochemical markers like complement, and it causes these special cells called leukocytes. And the complement system, this is the way the immune system communicates. These are alarm system. Alarms are going off, chemical alarms. As hey, we've got a problem here. Let's go. And so the body's reacting in a way. These cells, leukocytes, they're a seal cell. You might get a virus inside a cell, and the virus is taking over the cell, and the leukocytes will recognize as, hey, this cell is being taken over. Let's blow it up. And it blows it up. And so the immune system is highly effective very quickly early on. If your body's biochemistry and everything's intact, not only this system, this innate system work very aggressively, but it works precisely. See, it's one thing to, like, if you are a person with a gun, or maybe you're driving a car, you want to be, very, deliberate with that gun, but you want to be accurate. And so a healthy immune system is not only an immune system that can react in a very high and aggressive manner, but it can also react in a precise manner. It'll attack what's foreign, but not attack self. And so that's an important part of the healthy immune system too. And that's an important part up front. So this innate system can turn on and rev up. It can turn on the war, but it can also shut it down. And part of its not healthiness is being able to turn it on aggressively and shut it down quickly and precisely. Now, the adaptive immune system is sort of like your secret agent. So like, the foreign agent comes in, you get all the photographs, you put it on the website, your immune website, and you tell the T cell and B cell, you remember these guys, because if they come back again, we want to be ready for them. And so that's what the adaptive system is. So it is slow, but it doesn't have to react up front, because the innate system does its job and reacts up front. And then the adaptive system is there for memory to say, hey, if these guys come back, we're going to be ready for them. So that's essentially what the immune system is. Here's a pictorial thing. You have the innate system, the barriers, as I said, the inflammatory markers, the fever itself, increasing heat. Microorganisms don't like that. And then it passes information to the acquired system and so on. So how is it that we can create a problem in our system? So we get an infection and we get overwhelmed, and we get, people are familiar with the phrase cytokine storms. We get fever, get intubated and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, reactive oxygen species, these are toxic chemicals. Why do we get toxic chemicals? Well, we get toxic chemicals from lots of places: the air we breathe, the water we drink, the bad food we eat. Reactive oxygen species are generated during cell metabolism. Exercise causes it. It's used by our immune system. So there's some beneficial parts that reactive oxygen species, these chemicals, toxic chemicals, but they can create free radicals. So if we have too many of them, they float around and cause damage. That's why we can wear out our kidneys, we can wear out our heart, we can wear out our GI system. So they contribute to or cause chronic illness. And so, and if we have many of these things, they float around and they're just constantly causing our body to break down. So we need something to balance it out. And that's where our antioxidants come in, because the antioxidants, they prevent free radicals from damaging cells. Why? They stabilize them. They stabilize free radicals by donating electron. The free radical then becomes stable, and it doesn't cause heart disease, diabetes, inflammatory disease. And these antioxidants found in fruit and vegetables. So just to give you a little quick diagram, if we are in balance, biochemical balance, that's what I talk about. Type in the chat biochemical balance. That's an important concept because that is going to answer some of the questions that we have. Biochemical balance. And those things are key. So if the ROS and antioxidants are in balance, that keeps us in equilibrium. If we have excess reactive oxygen species, we're eating pizza and fried chicken, just like that example I gave you. You go to the party, you eat all the junk food, drink all the alcohol, you get an unbalanced system. You have excess reactive oxygen species in your system, and you are in oxidative stress. So your body's vulnerable. You're vulnerable. So if somebody sneezes a little E. coli or flu vaccine or respiratory syncytial virus or COVID or whatever, then you are at risk for going into an excessive cytokine storm. So here it is, all these delicious foods that people like to eat. This typical party stuff. This plus this equals bad news. Okay. So if you're in balance, viral infection can make you more imbalanced. And that creates a worsening oxidative stress. And then these people go into and TMAC, biochemical imbalance, Deborah Payne, biochemical, that's right. Biochemical imbalance is really the critical thing. And so if we say, okay, do I have a chronic illness or do I have excess oxidative stress and biochemical imbalance? It's really more the latter because it's really, a chronic illness like diabetes or heart disease, that's just the label. But biochemical imbalance underscores what's going on. And yes, let's say you have diabetes or you have COPD or there's some things you can do with those diagnoses that can then shift your body toward biochemical balance. So even though you have the label of this, that, or the other, you can do something to shift your biochemical balance to where, you might catch the infection, but your body's in a greater sense of biochemical balance, plus the things that you're nourishing your body with helps protect you at the time. I'm not going to go through this slide in a lot of detail. I want you to look at it, but there are a lot of other things that contribute to biochemical imbalance: a hectic lifestyle by itself, stress, emotional stress, worried about everything, not sleeping well. People low income, you're worried about bills, sedentary lifestyle. You're looking at the news, worried about COVID, worried about Delta, got your mask on, sleeping in your mask, hiding on your bed, not getting any sunshine, blah, blah, blah. All these things contribute to stress and can have an adverse effect. I'm not saying personal hygienes and if you got a cold infection or something, you don't want to breathe on anybody. Those things are important, but you want to keep it in context and keep these things in perspective. So let's look at antioxidant controlling oxidative stress. Free radicals lead to oxidative stress. The immune system is weakened under excess oxidative stress. Antioxidants protect our cells and tissues from oxidative stress. And what are sources of antioxidants? Vitamins A, C, E, selenium. These things are found in food, glutathione. So natural foods are the sources. Plant-based foods are in the raw state. I'm going to throw this slide up. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but you can freeze it and read through it. But these are certain food sources for these types of foods. Pistachio is a good source of glutathione as well, and sources of alpha lipoic acid and so forth. So again, you want to eat a good, healthy diet, balanced foods. So if I were to say one thing you can do to improve your health overall, eat a high amount of raw plant foods, if not 100%. If you're really, really scared, then I do 100% raw detox. So here's a little quick recommendation. Again, I'm not going to belabor this because I want us to get on to the discussion, because I like to spend most of the time, with open discussion. But again, consume a lot of raw fruits and vegetables. Maybe do 7 to 10 detoxes, 7 to 10 day detoxes. Include a lot of variety of plant foods. So eliminate processed foods, animal products, alcohol, all these things during flu seasons and whatnot. Vitamin C, zinc, blue bean algae. These are just a list of things, and I'm going to get my colleagues to weigh in on part two. So, and here's some other nutrients that are known to improve the immune system. And this is the foundation of your health in general, and the foundation of your health in terms of what we should do. And so Jonah Hargrave, Jonah Hargraves, I did the detox. Oh man, it was rough. Well, I hope you did it for 30 days, because after a while it gets a little easier. So let us know, Jonah, if you did it for 30 days or how long you did it and what was rough about it. And so Sana has a great line of detox and resume. Okay. And we're going to share some of our thoughts about detox in part two. What about powdered greens like super greens? Anyway, to just kind of get through the final comments here. So the strategy, be a healthy weight. You know, obesity is a major association with obesity and people that die from COVID. Be physically active, eat whole grains, fruits, vegetables, beans. You know, families walking outdoors. I give that picture of, you're walking outside, smiling, you're in the woods and weeds and stuff. Maybe they can take off the shoes. I mean, you get out into nature. It helps you feel better and what have you. Eliminate fast foods, eliminate red and processed meat, eliminate sugar sweetened drink, eliminate alcohol. They kept the bars open and the alcohol stores open. People were told to stay in the house and don't go outside. I mean, the virus is not passed outside. And plus you need to go outside, take off your shoes. So I don't know. And we're going to get to a lot of these questions in a minute. I'm just going to finish these comments. Use supplements as needed. Don't rely on them, and get professional formulations, not the over-the-counter. If you're going to waste your time with over-the-counter stuff, if you really want the supplements to help you, don't go get, such and such store brand. See your professional, ideally a functional medicine physician or somebody as a natural medicine person who is going to get, quality formulations. And for those that apply, breastfeeding your baby is beneficial. So, that's really what I wanted to share with everybody. And we have, Jonah did 14 days and he had diarrhea. You should have gone another 14 days at least. So you probably should do 30 to 45 days. The diarrhea is probably loose stools and you're cleaning your system out. So next time do it longer, because it really makes a difference. But we may get into detox strategies on part two. So that's all I have for that. Let's take a quick break. And what I want to do is then come back and I'm going to let my colleagues come in and give their points on detox and what we need to do from the standpoint of boosting your immune system in the setting of chronic illness. Stay tuned. Greetings, I'm Dr. Montgomery. Thanks for joining us this evening. I want to share information about our FoodRx Healthy Lifestyle Series. The FoodRx Healthy Lifestyle Series is a comprehensive health and wellness coaching program designed to help you navigate your lifestyle towards optimal health. Do you want to reverse or control a chronic illness, or reduce or eliminate medications? You may want to avoid potential surgeries or medical procedures, or perhaps boost your immune system or improve your fitness level, or much more. The program starts with an intense 5-session, 4-week virtual coaching jumpstart phase, where you join a group of like-minded individuals dedicated to improving their health. You'll be provided a lot of support materials, including nutrition plans, recipes, supplement plans as needed, or fitness plans, and much more. You have full-year access to the support materials as well as our health and wellness team during and at the completion of the 4-week jumpstart period. To learn more about this program, connect on one of our links below or schedule a call with our team members. Let them know if you wish to speak to me directly, and they'll arrange a time for you. Optimal health is a lifelong journey. Let us help you navigate it to your most desired destination. Okay, we are back. So, Dr. Atkins, what say you? You got somebody raised a question. Do you see? Let me just throw this up here. And both of you, do you see a lot of older patients with fungus in their nails, and what foods would assist them with their medicine to get rid of the fungus? So that's a very specific question. So they asked it. I don't want to hit you with a fungus question too soon, but I didn't ask it. We'll blame it on Gwendolyn, Daryl. But just in general, first address your thoughts on boosting the immune system in the chronic illness, and if you want to deal with that fungus question, that's fine.
Okay, sorry, you're talking to me? You said Dr. Atkins,
yes.
I didn't know which one.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes,
okay.
Dr.
Okay, but I think Dr. Floyd can talk a little bit about the fungus with the nails, and
that's right.
He's a foot specialist, etc. But I just think it's so important, lifestyle, diet, so many things. Getting enough rest. Many people don't get enough rest, and so especially young people. And so we want to get enough rest, listen to our body. We find ourselves falling asleep during the day and drift, sitting in a chair or whatever at a meeting. We want to make sure we're getting adequate rest, making sure we don't have sleep apnea, that we're not having problems with spells where we're not oxygenating well, when you're drowsy in the daytime. This is very important. And I also say that the healthiness is not the absence of disease. A lot of time we say, well, he was very healthy. He's 30 years old or 25 years old. He's never been hospitalized or has been in the hospital or not on medication. But that doesn't mean healthy just because you haven't been hospitalized or just because you haven't been diagnosed with something. But we want to go further to be proactive to keep ourselves healthy. And so we always talk about the fuel we put in our body.
Yeah, I like that. And please type in the chat, everyone. This is a little bit of a mouthful, but healthiness is not the absence of disease. It's not simply the absence of disease. I mean, you cannot have stated it any better than that. And that's what people say. Okay, this person's young and healthy. It's not just that they don't lack a, because a disease is just whatever we arbitrarily say it, and we don't identify what's going on in the body. And any and all of us can become biochemically imbalanced. And when we discover that, we need to do something to put ourselves back in balance. So no, I like that. That's a very important statement. I think it's something that we need to take home. Thanks, Sean, the Real Food and Drinks. Health is not the absence of disease. Healthiness is a process of optimal biochemical physiological balance and overall well-being. So no, thanks for that. Dr. Floyd Atkins, do you want to tackle that fungus question in addition to have comments on, boosting immune system in the setting of chronic illness?
Can you hear me? Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, number one, understanding that health is not the absence of disease. I want to repeat that again for everybody. And because understand, people don't put the adjective in front of it, because when you say health, it could be good health or poor health. So
Yes.
You just can't use the word health. And like in your title of a business and ours also, the key word, what it is wellness. Wellness is the absence of living a life of being well. And so if you can live wellness, then you're living without disease. So we want to emphasize to people saying, how are you? How well are you? Are you in wellness? But when it comes to the fungus question, understanding that fungus is a sign of immunity also, because fungus are parasites, molds, fungus, yeast, and they are attacking your body. And people have to realize the logistics from a podiatry standpoint. The logistics means that the fungus usually attacks toenails first. You see them in toenails more than any place else. What our immune system support is our tissues, our bones, our nails, and those things like that. But once your circulation is not what it used to be, once your immune system is not what it used to be. So if you have a poor diet, if you're eating processed foods, number one, it affects circulation. And then you don't have enough nutrient value to produce the immune response to be able to fight off a fungus. So then that's why we all see fungus in feet more so than you see it in your hands or other part of your body first. In most instances, when you refer to a foot fungus. So two things you want to do. You want to increase circulation. And number two, you want to increase your nutrient or your support for the immune system. And there are many ways to do it by eating, again, that raw plant-based diet, because you give your body all the nutrients you need to produce healthy immune response. And then number two, one recommendation I recommend to support that is doing a herb called Pau d'Arco, P-A-U, capital D apostrophe A-R-C-O, Pau d'Arco. It's a bark of a tree that comes from South America, but it's one of the most effective herbs. You can get it in a tea form. There are some stores may carry it in a pill form, or we can order it for you. But the Pau d'Arco is very effective as a natural way to combat fungus. It's used in those settings to when trees die. They found out that fungus don't grow on certain trees because, especially that one particular tree, the Pau d'Arco tree, because of the bark of that tree. And there are other topicals like melaleuca oil is good for killing fungus. But when you're killing fungus that way, you're only kicking the can down the road. Some people use neem oil, they use melaleuca oil, they use things like that. But you want to really get to the underlying cause. That goes back to diet, nutrition, circulation.
Wow, I like that. So Pau d'Arco, actually, somebody typed that in the fungus. Thanks, Pat Hyde. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to type it in both sections. You typed it in the Facebook group. It's capital D apostrophe and A-R-C-O.
Yeah, let me mention one other thing. The Pau d'Arco comes in a tea form. You can actually make a tea to soak your feet in. You can make a strong tea with Pau d'Arco, maybe 2 quarts of water, soak your feet in it because it'll kill on contact that way. You can drink it orally. So people who have even in funguses, again, are systemic. Even when you see them manifesting in feet or nails, it's systemic also. So you attack it from the inside and out with the Pau d'Arco.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just wanted to say also we need to remember when we're seeing signs of fungus, we want to make sure we want to dial back on things that raise our blood sugar. So things, not just sugars and starches and honey and syrups, but also, more carbohydrates, processed carbohydrates, because that raises our blood sugar. And so that is going to stimulate or provide environment that yeast likes to grow. So if we have overgrowth of yeast in our nails or vaginally or in our skin somewhere, we need to check our diet. And so when you dial back on the processed foods and the sugars, you really do better.
And also, can you give us your best email to get the Pau d'Arco? People are asking about that.
Well, the best email is you can email me at info at preventive preventive measures measures preventive measures. It's not an underscore, but it's a hyphen, preventive-measures.com. That's our website for some supplements that we carry. That product may not be on the website now. I can put it there, but if you just send an email, I can get your information and make sure I can get the product to you.
Okay, hold on 1 second here. I'm going to put it there. So I'm going to show it here, and I'm also going to create it again and make a sticker. Let's see there. And so we'll keep it going across. So I think that's important for people who want to get it, so they'll see that, so they'll email you for. And always, you could also, for any other questions for Doctors Floyd or Pamela Atkins, that email, he can get it to her or direct it to him for any questions. And they have a whole wealth of information on certain supplements and things that can target, different elements and the like. So they practice functional medicine and get that to you. So I like the whole comment about, optimal health and wellness. somebody asked the question, and let me find it real quick. I can't find the question. Is how do you know if you're healthy? Here it is. So there's a question by Charlie Gordon. How do you know if you're healthy? And the thing, my thought of, and I want to get everybody's take on this, but my thought on health is at least optimal health, and we write about this on our website. It's optimal health is, I think it's like an asymptotic line that you're forever getting closer and closer to. So it's not a state of being. Say, okay, I'm here at optimal health and I'm done. I'm gonna sit down. It's really a process over time, and it's your habits and what you do today. What you do today, because we're constantly learning about different things. You may be improving your fitness level. You may be improving your sleep level. You may be meditating more. You may be getting to a higher spiritual level. So you're always doing things to improve yourself over time. So optimal health, and I'm kind of changing the question a little bit. I think you're healthy if you're moving in the direction of being better tomorrow than you were yesterday. So it's a hill, you're either going up the hill or going down the hill. So healthy is a progression in a direction of improvement. And as long as you're going in that right direction, you are headed toward optimal health. That's healthy. If you're going in the wrong direction, then that's toward more disease or sickness or less health. And that's where I like to see it. So what direction are you going? Because you could be somebody who is obese with diabetes or heart failure. That's person A. And then person B, who has no diabetes, who no heart failure, etc. But person B is, sleeping, not sleeping well, smoking, drinking, eating bad food, cussing out folks. And A is exercising, improving their diet, and they're going in this direction. So they may be at a less healthy, but the other person may be at this point, but they're going in this direction. So I would say A is healthier because they're moving in this direction versus this direction. Now, I have patients who are very sick, a lot of sick patients, heart failure, obesity, and they're on detox moving this direction. And many of them catch COVID, and they fight it very easily because they're moving this direction. So it's also a directional process that you want to be moving in, and it's not just a state of being. So you're healthy when you're moving in the right direction. You're getting better every day compared to before. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Energy level, your energy level, morning, afternoon, evening. The healthier you are, you should have a good energy level to accomplish the things you need to do. I'm not talking about Olympic athlete or something like that, but but if you're dependent on coffee or caffeine to get going in the morning, then there may be room for improvement. And or you need sugar with that coffee or cola or whatever to get going. That could be a telltale sign. Also, we want to get our body fat down and have a good BMI, body mass index. And so usually we want to get usually below 25. I would say it's a little bit harder for women than for men because we tend to have more body fat, but you usually want to be below 25 and someplace maybe 20, 25. But of course, the fitter you are, the better. The lower the number, but you can be small and not unhealthy because just because you have a small, you have a smaller build or less weight, you weigh 120 pounds or 110 pounds, doesn't automatically mean you're healthy, because it can be unhealthy people with unhealthy diets with the lower weight.
Great points. Great points.
And the last thing I want to add is what we all do so well, it's you, Dr. Montgomery, Dr. Pamela, is be objective. When you have your blood work and it comes back and all your numbers are in red, it's a good sign that you're not healthy, that you need to do some work. And if your numbers are in black and within a range that's acceptable by your physician, then it may be a sign that you are on the right track. But those labs are important. You should get them on a regular basis and let that be your barometer also. So just want to add that in. So I don't want people think they can not do labs and not know what's going on.
No, I think you're right. I mean, and I think these are all important points. Know your numbers, check your labs, follow these things, because these are objective findings. They don't tell you everything, but they tell you a lot of important things, and it's really important, to know these things. You want to put all this together in terms of what you're doing. Just quickly, for those of you who haven't subscribed, if you are enjoying what you're hearing and getting benefit from it, please subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course, share it, and also give us a thumbs up for like, or you can show us some love, give us a smiley face, whatever you like to do. But hit the thumbs up button so that more people can hear this important information. Someone else has said they've exercised, their feet look better. Shonda Real Food and Drinks, she uses Pau de Arco. So there are a lot of people that use Pau de Arco. Someone wants to know about fruit. Donna Zerker. I think fruit is good. It should be organic, should be with seeds, in my opinion. Anybody else have a take on fruit? Okay, that's it on fruit. Now, Corey T, a big problem for us in the Black community, though, is that processed and fried foods is all they try to put in place around us. Who wants to get political? All right, you're the big screen. You go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna go first, then Dr. Pam is gonna go. But what I want to say is something simple about what they put around us. I used to always complain about the system, about we were living in a food desert and we have these things, and that is true. But the most important thing is us being proactive. We have to go out and do something about that. Either you can advocate for better food in your area, or you have to find a way to go get it. I think about the days of the Old West when Daniel Boone or when Shaka Zulu had to get some food. He didn't complain that he didn't have what he had. You had to put your leopard skin on your back and go out and get it and get what you need. So you have to find a way to get it. It takes work. I always tell clients that I talk to, you should spend at least 20% of your day working on food preparation and what am I going to put into my body, because that's the most important part of your day, what you pick up with your hands and put into your mouth. So you want to spend time in food preparation. Traditionally in cultures back in the 1800s and 1900s, we spent time food preparation. One man would go out and work, but the woman would stay home and say, I'm gonna go to the market and buy this food and start doing food preparation. Now, if we spend more than 32 seconds in a drive-through lane, people get upset and ready to curse the lady out at the window because it took too long to get the food. And I'm saying it's not the way to do. So that's all I have to say. That's my politics.
No, those are great points. And I like the whole time the concept about food prep. A lot of patients, I talk to patients and say, well, look, I don't have time to chop vegetables. I say, look, either you chop or be chopped. Because if if you don't spend time chopping the vegetable, you're eating junk food, then you're going to be getting amputations and all that stuff. So, I like that idea. It's an investment. You invest your money and your time into optimal nutrition. Buy cheap shoes. Cut out the movies or whatever the case is. Right. But invest your time and your money into optimal nutrition, because you're going to get a greater return there than otherwise. So, Dr. Pam, any thought on the food deserts in the Black communities? I'm gonna say my piece in a minute.
I think we need to control our environment more, and there's some things we can control, some things we can't control. But in your immediate space, if you can't move out of where you're living, perhaps you could grow something, whether it's on a balcony or in a backyard, but grow some of your food without pesticides, especially in places like Houston, where they have a longer growing season. There's no reason we can't grow something. So that's a way that you can get pesticide-free vegetables, or get involved with a food co-op in your area for working an hour once a week. You can get groceries, and that's a way to do it. So we have to be more creative about what we do to control our environment. We have to dictate to our grocery stores. We have to request things in our neighborhood. If we request more certain types of things that we're not seeing, there's more of a demand for it, then perhaps we can make some changes to provide more things that are healthy. And so other neighborhoods do it. I don't see why we can't do that, but we just have to, go to the front desk and let them know, what we're not seeing that we need, and perhaps they can get it for us.
No, I think you're right, and I like the idea of being proactive because it's easy to sit back and blame the government, this, that, and the other, whatever. They put bad food, they put bad food in front of me, I got to eat it, that type of thing. If they didn't put, it's like if somebody put a broccoli salad in front of you to eat it. I mean, it'd be for real. But I mean, the point is, so a couple of things. And I don't want to be too controversial. I'm going to kind of step out a little bit and we'll step back. We've been a little polite tonight, so we're a little bit controversial and step back. It's this whole big push for, this vaccine. And again, nothing against, if someone's taking a vaccine, if that's your choice and your doctor, I mean, that's fine. I'm not trying to criticize you. But what I am criticizing is this, one solution for all. When we talk about different things, we focus on lifestyle, nutrition, et cetera. We focus on a broad spectrum of things. And yes, sometimes we talk about certain medications, supplements, foods, and all that. So it's a broad approach to your health. But, you have something as aggressive as this pandemic, and the only solution is get shot. Well, okay, I got shot. That's okay, get another shot. It's like, boosters, the booster, and, that type of thing. So that's the criticism I have. And it's okay if you want to talk about getting vaccines, it's fine. But can we have a discussion on other things you can do? And before the vaccines, like, go tough it out. And it's obvious that what we need to have been doing and still need to do is improve our overall health. Because the point I made in the previous show I did is that I don't care if you have a perfect vaccine or if you have natural infection. In both of those situations, you need a healthy immune system to survive. If your immune system is in bad shape, then a natural infection will kill you. If your immune system is in bad shape, the perfect vaccine will not help you, and the infection will still kill you if heart disease, diabetes, and something else don't get you first. So optimal health is really the key. And that's where so it's interesting that all these poor communities that they got junk food and alcohol and all that, but then they want to push trucks in there and give you the shot to kind of save your life, when in fact all that the malt liquor 40/40 and all that stuff is killing you, and the shot's going to save you from all that stuff. I mean, it's utterly ridiculous. So I mean, that's all I'm going to say for it. I'm going to step back off the soapbox and so on and so forth. But that's my thought on it. So I think the whole key is, and somebody put in the chat, and I like that comment, is that the whole world is a food desert. We talk about certain areas, poor areas, but what are your thoughts on that, Dr. Floyd Atkins? The whole world is a food desert.
Well, it is from the standpoint that and I could blame the world. I don't want to say the whole world's a food desert. Let me take one step back also. But it's a choice. We have to make some conscious decisions on what we call living by intention. You have to be intent on what you're going to do. So the food is out there, the world, everything is out there. You have to find out, how do I get it? Even if you have to go as far as ordering some things on Amazon, or getting the Blue Plate special, or getting food delivered to you, but you have to find a way. Convenience is one of our biggest impediments in this life, because we want to do things easy. We want to go get it straight out of the freezer at H-E-B or at Kroger's and have it on our table. But that's not always the healthy option. So we have to understand, number one, that when we eat and when we see food, we're doing it for nutrition. You're not eating food for taste, although we love it to taste good, but you're eating for nutrition. You're eating for the phytochemicals, the nutrients, the antioxidants, the amino acids, the minerals, the enzymes that you need to maintain healthy cells, which makes healthy tissues, which makes healthy organs, and which function well. So if you don't do those things, you have a breakdown in your physiology, then you're ripe for problems. just to go out on that limb with your moment, Dr. Baxter, even with, viruses have been with us always and will be here always. And my problem is that we don't attack the underlying cause of the problem. The problem is with the virus. It's not a problem of we don't have enough of this in our body, or we need to boost our immune response. We need the underlying problem is our health. And people can see that now, and the more they consider that, the better you'll be. So we can take care of the health. We can maintain that strong immunity through plant-based diet, through drinking water, through getting rest, through stress reduction, because all of those things are weighing on our immune system. We have so many challenges right now to our immunity. It's no wonder that people are getting sick at the rate they're doing, even greater. So, my admonition or admonishment to everybody is to really focus on what can I do each day, do one thing I can do to reduce my immune stress, or whether it's food, whether it's my social environment, whether it's my work environment, whether it's my family, whatever it is, you have to find a way to work on doing those things. But again, diet is key, because you are what you eat. So when you eat those things, you're not going to function well. Dr. Pamela.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Pam, somebody asked a question about fresh fruit versus refined sugars. How does the body process it? What's the difference there? Any thoughts on that? Comments? Oops, you muted. I'm sorry, you muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I always tell people to, I'd rather you eat a whole fruit than drink juice, orange juice or apple juice, for example, because you get the fiber that helps prevent the blood sugar from spiking so high to make the blood sugar high. And if the blood sugar gets higher, it causes the pancreas to overwork and make insulin. And many people are, becoming insulin resistant or having too much insulin because we're always triggering our pancreas by starches and sugars, processed starches and sugars, to make more. So fruits are good. We want to emphasize low glycemic fruits like the berries, which are high in antioxidants, and preferably organic. And but the more colorful the fruits, the better. Fruits like watermelon or grapes have benefit, but they're mostly juice, so they're going to spike the sugar more if we eat a whole bowl of grapes or a whole bag of grapes. And we want to watch the amount of watermelon we eat. We don't want to eat too much, but that's a general guideline. And dried fruits are high in sugar content. That's why they taste so sweet. So when you eat dried fruit, dried pineapple, raisins and things like that, knowing it's like eating candy. So you want to minimize, not eat too much of the dried fruit, balance it with nuts or other things, but not to overdo it. And I also wanted to footnote, we want to be careful of commercials, because many times commercials are driving us to the food desert. We have a lot of commercials with fast food, processed food. And so most of the things that are healthy for us are not advertised on TV. And so we need to think about that. If you see something advertised, a cereal, food, a meal, or something like that, generally that's not healthy food. And the healthier, nutrition dense, unprocessed food, you will rarely see it on TV. So I just want to let us know that,
Yeah, that's a big problem in terms of the marketing. It's the marketing of illness. Dr. Floyd Atkins, Lady J has a question. 57. What's the best way to test or know if my immune system is intact? Are there any thoughts on that? That's a loaded one.
Yeah, that question is well, let me say this. It's no specific test. There are tests you can do, micronutrient tests. You can test your levels, but that's still no indication, because, although you might have the proper nutrients, how are the nutrients functioning in your body? How are you assimilating? How are you using them? How are they producing? But, the ultimate test is when you confront disease or illness and see how well you fare. That's truly the only way you know how well your immune system functions. But again, my whole thoughts about the process is prevention, is to be proactive. I'm going to use the word proactive again. You have to do the things in advance. You don't want to wait to find out if it's working or not, if you're doing the right things. Dr. Pam was always telling me, you need to do this now. And I said, well, I don't have to worry about that because I know what I ate today. I know what I drank today. And so my immune system is fine. But, and it's not just one or two things. It's a whole conglomeration of things you need to do every day when it comes to getting your rest. So if I fall down in one area, I have to make up for it in another area. When I talk about prevention is being proactive. That means doing things in advance of a problem. You don't want to wait till you get a symptom and say, oh, I need to start doing prevention. Well, no, that's really treatment. And then understanding what prevention is. When you have a prevention program, and we could talk about it on a future show, that you have to do that to stay healthy. But if you get sick, you almost have to double to triple the same program. It doesn't change. It doesn't say, well, now that I have an illness, what do I do? Well, from a natural or holistic standpoint, you do the same thing you were supposed to do in the first place, but you got to be even more diligent and do it twice or three times as good, because your body still has to overcome this challenge in front of it. It has to walk over this hill. So how you know that you're a healthy immune system at 57 is, again, doing that plant-based diet, drinking water, getting rest, doing those things that we knew that you need to do to produce a healthy immune system. Stay away from the processed food. Stay away from the horror shows that scare the daylights out of you at night before you go to bed. That's called CNN and MSNBC, and those kind of things. Those horror shows that scare the daylights out of you. Don't operate in fear, because when you operate in fear, it automatically weakens your immune system. Don't let the things get you down, because depression automatically suppresses the immune system. You can eat healthy as you want to be, but if you're in a depressive state of mind or going through a depressive episode, your immune system is destroyed. So those are the things you have to focus on. Do things that lift you up. Do things that make you happy. Do things that bring joy and laughter. That's why they say laughter is the best medicine. It's so true, because it puts you in a state of mind that really uplifts your immune system rather than suppresses it.
Yeah, that's really important, and you said a lot, several mouthfuls, because it's really what you do and your behavior and how you respond to the behavior. And I want to give a shout out to Jonah Hargreaves. Thanks for donating to the channel. It's going to go to our research. Got some studies coming up looking at nutrition, so I appreciate that. And anybody else, feel free to donate through the NZ. I never really announced that, but feel free to contribute, because that goes directly to our research, because we look at a lot of this work, and we actually published a lot of the work. But I think back to Dr. Floyd Atkins' point is really important in terms of your behavior. And the other thing, and I think Dr. Atkins mentioned before, is that you can also understand by how well you function in terms of your energy level. I mean, it's one thing you can look at your labs, and that's important. And then, are you sleeping well? Are you waking up refreshed? Are you digesting your food well? Are you are more physically fit? Are you able to jog without being worn out or short of breath? These are all signs of optimal health. Your emotions, are you feeling tense and stressed all the time? Are you more relaxed? When we've had patients go through our 30-day detox program, our online program or in person, some of the things that we see early on is that the reports we get is that, hey, I'm sleeping better. My mood is better. I'm calmer. I'm less stressed. So all of these things are how shows how the body is responding to this optimal way of life. I have more energy. I'm exercising. Older people with arthritis, and the arthritis comes out, and they're able to walk, and they're exercising. So I remember one guy, he was in his 80s, and he started jogging. I said, well, who told you to jog? I said, well, I've had more energy. I felt like jogging. And so it's just sort of a natural tendency. You have all this energy and you're revved up and you want to go and execute. So a lot of these things are a sign of improving health. And so these are ways. So it's not like an immune boosting test, but what you had on your plate this morning, lunch, and noon. So that's a test. You can take a picture of what you're eating. That's probably the most sensitive measuring tool. You had some bacon and eggs, then I don't care. You might not feel bad now, but your immune system's taking a hit. those oxtails or fried wings or whatever the case is. That's your test right there. So keep in mind that these things they're very simple and very straightforward in terms of what you do. We got a lot of technical stuff and we use it. I do a lot of special tests and so on and so forth. But it comes down to some of the simple things. If you're eating bad food, then I don't care what the tests show or don't show. You got bad fooditis. And so you keep doing it, you're going to get sick. And so, or you become overtly sick. We're coming up near the end. I'm going to take a few more comments here. Gwendolyn Darrell, I'm 72 and started 2 years ago and I'm continuing to learn and practice. Ditto, Dr. Ford. Great point. Melissa Palomo, are sprouts more beneficial than greens? Also, Dr. Montgomery, can I give you a call? I have a question and need help. Yes. Let me put my office number in the chat, 713-599-1144. Any of you can give us a call at Montgomery Heart and Wellness. And what's the best number to catch the Dr. Atkins for the Dr. Atkins? Is that a good number to call? Is the best email?
Yes, 713-520-9611 and
713-520-9611.
9611. Center for Wellness.
Yep. And then Center for Wellness
and Healing. We want wellness first. And if the wellness doesn't work, we want healing.
Is that a .com?
Yes, www.centerforwellnessandhealing.com. You're correct.
Okay.
Now, while we're talking a question about sprouts more beneficial than greens, I don't think one is more beneficial than the other. I want to say that sprouts are as beneficial as greens because sprouts are greens in an embryonic state. So you're getting the same thing. You're just getting a different set of nutrients and a different set of enzymes, but both of them are quite necessary.
And some experts say the sprouts have a large amount of phytonutrients and proteins, and some people have measured the difference in terms of maturity versus sprouts. And we get sprouts grown locally and organically, and we now sell them. We're now putting them in our foods. So there's some experts who've done measures and argue that the sprouts have a greater nutrient value. I've started liking sprouts and microgreens because of the flavor and whatnot. You can also grow them in your kitchen, so there's a convenience there. Cindy Goodson just logging in. Hate I missed the first part. We'll watch the replay. All right, Cindy's going to be on what do you call it? Memorex, Real and Memorex. But no, Memorex is great. Is stevia okay to use to help transition your diet from sad to happy? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I do recommend stevia sometimes, which is a leaf of a plant, and it has natural sweetness. A lot of the stevia you get at the store, it may have something added to it. And the Truvia, which has erythritol in it, it's not my favorite, and too much of it may loosen the bowels. But I like certain types of stevia, like new stevia or sweet leaf. But stevia has an aftertaste. I don't like it so much in supplements and protein powders and things like that. I think for me, it's a lot of people think there's an aftertaste, but stevia is a choice, a healthier choice than concentrated sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Sometimes I do recommend xylitol, which is a bark sugar, which can have. It's better for the teeth, and the gut doesn't cause cavities, and you'll see it in gum. But too much of that, especially like in a beverage where you use more of it, can cause diarrhea. So sometimes they mix it with other things. Monk fruit is another option, but definitely we'll want to dial back on cane sugar and try to eliminate corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup.
Somebody, Apothecary Custom, raises question about cytokine storm. from elderberry. Any comments on that, Dr. Floyd? Excuse me, I should have. Oh, you're on mute. We're both on mute.
Yeah. Initially, people were ordering elderberry last year as a way to as an antiviral product, but I'm not sure. I haven't really seen any research to say it would contribute to that, and so I'm trying to figure out, is that fake news to discredit anything other than the options that it presents for us, because elderberry is for many years known to be a good antiviral for cold and flu season, but all of a sudden now in 2020 they have other. I haven't seen any research about it causing any cytokine or autoimmune problems.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of stuff going around, and they're trying to discredit a lot of natural things. And we all proponents of natural stuff, and we will say, and quote me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you should rely on this fruit or that fruit or whatever. We talk about a whole collective approach and a process. So I think that's what we would recommend that you do. But I'm not aware of elderberry causing cytokine storm. Let me just hit a couple of questions real quick before, and I'm going to do a quick screen share, largely because I just want to show these questions real quick, and then we're gonna sign off. But there were some questions raised from other shows. Let me give it a little magnification here. Ooh. So these are some questions from some other shows, but I thought I'd bring them out. So elevation of ferritins during COVID. Now, ferritins are like acute phase reactants. So if you have an increased inflammation, sort of like a SED rate, there's certain molecules that increase when the body's revved up. C-reactive proteins, sedimentation rate, even platelets can go up as an acute phase reactant. And so ferritins is one of those things that can be elevated when you're acutely ill. The inflammation's up, and so these molecules are released. So I think that's just a non-specific response. I don't think there's a cause and effect. There's an association, and it's more likely ferritins are being increased in the setting of acute phase reactant. How do you know if you have a healthy immune system? I think we addressed that pretty well today already. What are your thoughts about booster shots? Anybody want to comment on booster shots? I'll go ahead and step out on them. I mean, here a couple of things on booster shots. Again, I don't want to tell anybody to take the vaccine or not take the vaccine. Let me just be clear on that. We're not giving any medical advice on this show. You probably know my opinion on it, and that's fine. I mean, everybody has an opinion. We all have, a rear end. We all have an opinion, and so that's fine. But what I will say is the following: your immune system is what's necessary, and if you have a healthy immune system, when you're exposed to an infection, your body's going to take care of it. It'll take care of it the first time, the second time, the third time, etc. The immune system, the booster shot, and I've seen reports about decreasing antibody titers after a certain period of time, certainly in immune compromise and probably in other people. And so they saying get a booster shot, you get more antibodies. Look at some of the other articles that shows we did looking at COVID, natural immunity versus vaccine. I actually go through some scientific studies where they measure the body's immune system when it's infected with COVID. And what we show, what they showed is that up to 8 months, and some people shown even longer, but up to 8 months, you have not only antibodies, but you have T cell, B cell, all that. And even though after infection, your antibody titers will drop, you have B cell immunity. And they show that if you reintroduce the infection to the blood, the B cells respond to that. So we know that the immunity is more than just antibodies. And so they say, okay, get a booster shot because antibodies are down, but there's more to it than just antibodies. So especially if you have a natural infection, your body, that adaptive immune system says, hey, we've got, photographs, we've got, fingerprints, we got all sorts of information about this foreign agent. and we're ready to react. So booster shots are probably based on decrease in antibody titers, but antibody titers are not the only measure of your body's immune system. Much more complex, probably more complex than what we can measure. T cells, that's what we have. Now, here's kind of a long-winded question, but I thought there's some interesting points to it. If the drop in cases from January 8th to February 19, 2021 is due to natural immunity, does it mean that 60% of people already had COVID in the US at that time? I'm trying to find that number, but so far I failed. What I've noticed is that there was a progressive decrease in COVID testing, although I don't know if it had a proportional or significant impact on the drop. I don't know what to think about the way we test COVID. We'd all love more transparency. I've just watched Dr. Vandenbush last video. He mentioned that government stopped testing vaccinated people at one point. I don't know when precisely. It's then possible that the virus continued to circulate within asymptomatic and untested vaccinated people. Maybe there are several facts that cause the drops, but I do hope, though, that it's thanks to natural immunity, as you suggest. It wouldn't be surprised at all. Thanks again for creating this space and help us understand how to read the studies. Now, that's a mouthful. Let me kind of break it down. I showed some graphs that show a major peak in the number of infections and deaths in January. That's when we reached a peak. We had a lot of lockdowns, shutdowns, and then in January, then the peak of flu season, we had a lot of deaths, a lot of people, states have been opening up, and a lot of cases, a lot of deaths, and all that stuff. Excuse me. So we had some minor peaks before that when it first hit, but we had a big peak in January, and then we had that big fall. And we had a big fall, and we showed it on several shows. And what he's referring to is that you had a very small percentage of fully vaccinated people. It's like when the fall started, like less than 1% fully vaccinated. And I think we had peaked in maybe less than 15% fully vaccinated when we reached like a nadir. So the vaccine had nothing to do with that fall. So then the question is, okay, why do we have that big drop? Now, one argument would be, okay, you have to say herd immunity to a certain extent. So he said, well, did we reach 60%, et cetera? Well, we really don't know the overall population infection rate because even though we tested a lot of people, we didn't test everybody. There are a lot of asymptomatic people. There are a lot of people who were positive. There are also a lot of people who had some level of T-cell immunity even before the pandemic hit. So, and they estimated there was in Cell Journal, they reported this in Cell magazine, Cell Journal, that they found a good number of people. And there was some single studies out of Singapore, some other places where they had families where people were like, you'd have 8 people in the family, the household, one person get COVID, the other people don't get COVID. They said, well, why not? And they tested their blood and found out that they had T-cell immunity already. Well, T-cell from what? From previous exposure to other coronavirus, cold virus and the like. And so they speculated, and nobody did formal testing, that a good percentage of the population already immune. So let's say maybe had 20, 30%. So then you get 60% of people get infected, 50%. So then, 6 plus 30 is 90, or 50 plus 30 is 80, or 10. Even 10, 20% plus 56% gets you at 70, 80%, which approximates herd immunity. And herd immunity varies among people. So even before the vaccine was on board, we probably had significant natural herd immunity from either COVID or coronavirus from the cold or other things. So that drop is there. Now, the question raised several other important points. How about testing? We tested everybody multiple times and their third cousin multiple times, before as we got this peak. But one other thing that did happen that we did know that the cycle time, the cycle threshold of the PCR test. So the PCR test is a test that amplifies genetic materials. You get a tiny trace amounts of genetic material. You can amplify that genetic material to increase its prominence. So you can pick up small amounts of genetic material by just amplifying the sample. And so the amplification rate, cycle time, or CT, many of you was very high, maxed out at 45. Some experts say you shouldn't use this test for testing, this kind of test for screening. That's number one. But those that use it should run cycle time about 18 to 20. But they were like more than twice that. Around January after the election, they started reducing the cycle time. So some people say, well, some of that falls due to reduction in cycle time. Well, if the falls due to cycle time reduction, then maybe the rise due to too high cycle time. So it's a little bit more complex than herd immunity. I think herd immunity is an important component of that, because you had a really big high jump and a fall. So if you say the fall is fake, then the rise is fake. I mean, how we look at it, yeah. So I just call the fall real and the rise real. So everybody said the rise is real. Okay, fine. Then the fall is real. So the fall is real due to what? Herd immunity. And so, but it's certainly not due to the vaccine. That's the last thing. But if you look at further and go to some of those videos we talk about, there's a yellow curve that shows increased total vaccination. And what's associated with increased total vaccination, increased amount of Delta. So, and I looked at other countries. Israel, about 70% vaccinated. They have even more Delta. So the more vaccinated you have, the more Delta you have. That's just an association. I'm not trying to point any fingers. I'm just looking at the data. That's what the data shows. So it's a complex question. The testing, sensitivity testing, I think does contribute to it. We don't have clear numbers on herd immunity. I think we're at natural herd immunity just based on the duration of time, based on the drops in those curves. Yes, there may be in part due to manipulation of the testing, but I think it's in part due to real drop in the infection rate. And if you look at the death rate is staying down despite the rise in Delta. So anyway, those are my comments. Any other comments, Dr. Pam, Dr. Floyd, on any of those questions?
Well, I think Dr. Palmer brought up last time that, what she wondered, what effect was there when after people were encouraged once they're vaccinated to not wear masks, not take any precautions, social distancing whatsoever. We wonder, if you feel, free to go to bars or whatever, hang out and be close in proximity to others. What effect does that have? So that's just a question as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because we sort of, let down our guard. Now, some of us did that without the vaccine. I'm not calling any names, but
well, what I'd like to say, just to put a cap on that. Well, the first question about booster shots, I was under the impression they were talking about booster shots like spirulina shot or turmeric shot or moringa shot. That's the boosters I was thinking, and maybe I was wrong in that, because I've never had a booster for measles, mumps, chicken pox, or polio, so I don't know. But the second question there is important to me, because the person asked the question has a question, and they ask the question and they're seeking information. That's the most important thing, that people are asking those questions. We may not have the answers. We may never know what the specific answer is, but we have to question what we do, because we have to take our body seriously and we have to investigate. There's nothing wrong with that. So I want people to make decisions based on information, or at least seeking the information they need. And so when people ask those long, drawn-out questions, let us know they're thinking. And in everything we do, we must think.
Yeah, I think you're right. And this last question I want to get at, because it's an interesting question. I think you said natural infection gives 4 different arms of immunity. How many for the vaccine? Asking to compare best. That's excellent. So let me kind of break down the two. Natural infection is that you get the bug, the virus comes in and, hey, I'm here, and it's a whole virus. It's like, when I show up at the party, you see my bald spot, my nose, glasses, everything, beard, goatee, and all that. So, hey, that's Montgomery's laugh, whatever. So that's all of me is there. Now, and so you kind of see, every angle of Montgomery. So you get photographs, this is a Montgomery. So you get all those photographs of Montgomery, the side and left side, back side, his shoulder, from the head. So you have all these angles. And so if I'm a criminal, you say, well, we got a lot of different angles of Montgomery, and maybe my fingerprints and then my saliva. So you got all the DNA fingerprints. So you got a lot of stuff to go on in terms of how to identify me, right? But what if instead of me showing up, somebody says, okay, I'm going to take a picture of the edge of his, this is my right nostril, is turning different on the thing. I'm going to take a picture of this little part of the nostril of his nose. Okay. And that's the only picture you're going to get. And so I'm going to give that to you. And so, you get that picture of the nostril of your nose. That's the vaccine. Me showing up in person, hey, my voice, my laughter, my spit amount, you got all that DNA and fingerprints and angles. That's the infection. So the immune system gets a look at everything in 3D. So I wouldn't necessarily call it different arms, but I think you have a look at the total thing. That's one. Two, viruses as a collection are like people. I may have a lot of, let's say like there are 14, brothers. Even if I got two, if I was part of triplets, we all are not exactly alike, but we look very close. And you may see me and my brothers and all, we look alike. We look very similar. You get a constellation. You say, okay, this is how those Montgomery boys look, and they're not welcome here. So if anybody looks like this, we're going to keep out. Same thing with a photograph of one person. You get all these different angles. So it's a better image of what that virus is. Now, the vaccine takes a certain segment of the mRNA of the spike protein, and it replicates that. So you get a clone of a certain segment of the virus, not the whole virus. You don't see the bald spots. You don't see the left, the other. You just see this little part of the nostril. And that's all you have to go on. So if I walk in the house, and so if my brothers come in and say, look, they got a right nostril picture, so you come in and you show only this nostril, okay? You walk in like this, then you don't get recognized because it's like, okay, we only saw that one part, theoretically speaking. So, and that's one. There may be other factors too. Now I'm oversimplifying it, but the point is, and I think what the question is getting at, are the different arms. It's really more of a collective view of what this virus is, and you got T cells, B cells, all that, which are stimulated. Plus you have antibodies to different parts of the virus, and you're not just relying on one part of the virus, because if there's a mutation, which is only a small percentage, there may be a mutation in spike protein in Delta. I don't know that. Okay. So if you get a slight mutation of spike protein in the Delta, then that may throw your antibodies to vaccine off, or something else. But if you got a total look at it, the mutation of the variant may change on the spike protein, but it may not change on the nuclear capsid, or it may not change in some the binding component of the spike protein. So you got a better idea. So I can go in and get a nose job, change my nose, but I still got the bald spot. My ears still look the same. So I can go in and say Delta Bax. Delta Bax has a different nose. So, hey, you don't recognize me anymore. And so that's what I think. So I think it's a great question. And it's I think more complex than what I've raised, but I think with the comments I want to make is get at the totality of what you see with the vaccine, et cetera. So anyway, there are a lot of other great questions. I may pull some of these, but somebody asked about vitamin D3. What causes vitamin D3 numbers will go higher than 37? You're going to have to supplement. I still think you should get fresh air and sunshine, even though that may not get your number up to where it needs to be. But there are probably some innate things with fresh air. Mushrooms are a good source of vitamin D, but fresh air and sunshine, I think, is good. But you want to measure your vitamin D levels. Dr. Floyd Atkins said, measure your numbers, know your vitamin D numbers. There's certainly a correlation with obesity and low vitamin D with people who don't survive from COVID infection. So those things you want to be on top of. This has been a wonderful show, guys. I'm going to see you backstage. Let me close out. We just had too much fun tonight. I don't know what else to say, but anyway, I'll see you backstage. So again, I always learn something, and I learned something not only from my colleagues, my esteemed colleagues who have been treating patients in the natural environment for a long time. They ask them which vitamin D test get. Vitamin 25-dehydroxy is a good test to get, or you can do 125, but the 25-dehydroxy is good. But anyway, we treat patients, not diseases. And we look from a totality of the overall health of the human frame, because you have to start there. And I think that's important, even though we're talking about, how can you optimize the immune system if you have a chronic illness. You start with the foundation of your health, optimal biochemical balance, optimal physiological balance, and those things. And so I just want you to keep this in mind. And again, as I said from the outset, I want you to be informed and empowered. Don't feel helpless. I mean, the news media, the comments of this, that, and the other, and I understand how that can create some level of anxiety. But again, the things that we say, look at a lot of different videos where look at the video on diabetes, immune system, bitter foods, and all that stuff. It all points in the right direction. Optimal nutrition, optimal physiology, rest, sleep, detox your house environment. All these things work to improve your overall health. When you do that, there's no virus stand a chance against you in the setting of optimal health. So, stay positive, stay healthy, and until the next time, keep it fresh, natural, and live.